Hello everyone, this is just a small portion of the beginners quilting course that I am currently teaching. We are up to lesson 2. It will be on the 17th of February, right around 3:30 Eastern Time. So what you see on my table right here, right now, I have a charm pack, 5 by 5 inch, and that's the project that we're working on right now. And as you can see, my 5 by 5 right back here. Here, let me pull this into view. My charm pack that I'm working on is just some pretty pinks and mauves and deep colors. So what we're going to do is we're learning to put this together, and we're going to play with it with the stitching and the quilting. And this one was done by machine, where we talked about the 1/4 inch seam. And now I'm going to show you how to do the seam by hand, the best way to hand stitch, because maybe somebody doesn't have a sewing machine, or maybe their sewing machine is broken, or maybe they just like to find out how to hand piece. Now this is time consuming, but it is so worthwhile, because when you tell people that you hand stitch the whole thing, they will be very, very impressed with you. Alright, so this is just a regular thread. This one is, well, I say regular, this is Arifill. Arifill can get rather expensive, but it's a good thread. I like this kind of thread, but it's not real easy on stitching when you start to stitch, because it can get tangled. So what you see here, this is beeswax. Okay, and this is used to coat the thread so that you can pull it through, and it has a little more staying power. It's a little stiffer, it makes it just a little bit stiffer. So you just run it through a few times. Usually you do this before you actually tie the thread, and that way you can get the whole thread from the start to the finish. And again, it just kind of helps to make it so that the thread doesn't get all tangled up when you're running it through the fabric several times. Alright, now another thing that you can get is this quilting thread. It's a hand quilting thread. You can see on the bottom here how many times I've shoved a needle into it. But this is a hand quilting thread, and it is a lot stiffer, and I believe the thread itself is a little bit thicker as well. I don't know if you can tell, it's pretty heavy duty, whereas when you pick this up, this is floppy. This one is a little stiffer, and I love using this. I love using it for hand quilting and also for some stitching. Don't recommend trying to run it through your sewing machine, because it is so thick it will definitely mess up the tensions on your sewing machine, especially if you don't like to mess with the tension on your sewing machine. You feel like you've got it perfect. This would not be the thing to run through there. Alright, but it's great for hand stitching. So let's get this out of the way. I just wanted you to see my business card so you knew exactly how to get a hold of me. What I have done here is I've used my one of my templates, and I have drawn on 1/4 inch from the edge to the where I want to stitch. So I have marked my line, and this is using the friction pen. I like this pen because it will erase using an iron. Alright, so that's one of those things I have in my little toolkit, my sewing toolkit. Now you can pin it, like I have it down here, which of course you normally pin it up here, or you can clip. I like them both. I tend to use probably the pins more often, but I really do like the clips because they don't leave little points or marks from the needles. So we're going to start down here, and we're going to get it going. So there's a couple different stitches that you can make. And the first one, which would be the simplest one. Sorry about that phone. Hold on just a second. Well, I guess it's not going to let me pause it. Okay, we'll just have to let that go. Alright, so the first stitch that you can make is kind of the normal stitch. It's just in, out, and you can do a couple stitches at a time, trying to keep your stitches kind of small. And if it's easier to do that,
yes.
If it's easier to do that one stitch at a time, go ahead and do it one stitch at a time.
I'll try to be out of bed.
Y'all, that is my husband speaking, so I am in my home like everybody else. I'm working from my home in sunny Florida. Alright, so that's kind of what that looks like when you're doing just one stitch, one next to the other. Alright, now here's the stitch I like to do, because I like to call this one a locking stitch, because this is kind of loose. So when you open it up, here, let's pull this out so you can see it. When you open it up, it actually can move on you. It can pull apart. See? And I know you've seen that before, where the stitch is not real tight. So let's try it the way I like to do it. But if you're in a hurry and you need to just get it done, that stitch is a good one. Just remember not to pull it too tight, because then you start to get the gather, so you don't want that. Okay, so what I do is I come back behind the stitch and make a stitch and then pull it up. And then again, I kind of pull it tight, but then I pull it out so that it doesn't gather. And I make the next stitch the same way. All right, can you see that well enough? Okay, and then we're going to pull it up. And you're going to try and keep it on that line if you can. Actually, if I had my glasses on, it'd probably be a little bit better. So let's put, oh yeah, I can see it so much better now. And that wax has kept it so that the thread will go through without getting tangled up. And that's what you're looking for. Okay, let's do a couple more, and then we're going to open that up and look at the difference in the needle, in the stitches. And as you get better at this, you'll get faster, or as you get faster, you'll get better. Or if you get too fast, you won't be very good at it. It just depends. Some people can do it quickly and have it done in no time. I personally love my sewing machine. I do not know where all that ink on my hand came from, but it was there earlier this morning. Okay, I like to pull it a little tight just to make sure. And then make another stitch, and then we're going to go ahead and open that right up. Okay. So we have these stitches down here, and then this one here. And I like to think that the stitches at the top are looser, and the stitches down below are a lot tighter. And of course, the closer you make those small stitches, the tighter the seam will be. All right, that is our short little video, and that was for my students Pamela and Sandra, who were. This was all part of the beginners that I didn't get a chance to talk about last month, so I wanted to make sure I did a video where they could see that. All right. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I do have some YouTube videos, SRQ Quilters and YouTube, of course, and then I do have some that are right here on my Facebook page as well, which is also SRQ Quilter. Please feel free to email me to ask me questions. You can join in on the class that we currently have coming up on the 17th. And again, it's just a beginners, but we should be able to get at least 2 projects done by the end of this to kind of give you a running start on how to quilt, or at least some of the tips and tricks on how to get started. All right, it was a pleasure working with you. I hope you guys have a wonderful day today, and I will see you soon.